And welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Eric Nelson, Brian Lawton, and Sid Hartman keeping you company for the next half hour. Sydney, so much to talk about, but let's start with the Minnesota Wild. They made some deals at the deadline. As a former, we got two former general managers here, Eric.
We're impressive company here.
Did you like what they did?
Well, Brian Lawton would know a lot more.
I know he
than
would,
I
but
know,
I insisted I asked you the first question.
The only thing I know, if this guy was good enough to be traded for Vanek, Vanek's one of the best players in hockey, he must be pretty good at it, or they wouldn't make the deal.
You're talking about Matt Moulson.
So that's a sign of a pretty good hockey player, and then they got a goaltender. I think the luckiest break the general manager's got is that Kemper. That's his name, isn't it?
Darcy Kemper.
He's come through for him. And without Kemper, they'd have been in a lot of trouble. They wouldn't have a goaltender.
Yeah, Brian, let's handicap these deals. You get Moulson, you get Brzgala. You look at McCormick, I guess. They kind of filled the needs that they had at the trade deadline, and they didn't have a lot, but they did have some.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, Chuck went out and he wanted to check some boxes, so to speak, to give them a chance to compete, certainly in the first round. You know, it's such a tough Western Conference. We don't know who they'll end up playing, but it certainly looks like, because the team had been playing great even before these moves, to be honest. And then they get a Granlund back who's maybe taken a step forward at the Olympics. Obviously, Parise, you know, was injured for a while there, but the team kept rolling. And these moves are specifically designed to give them an opportunity to win a couple rounds this year.
Who is Matt Moulson? What do you expect from him? Who do you know, we don't see the East enough to know.
No, you don't. He's actually a really interesting story. I mean, a lot of people think he was drafted by LA. He was originally drafted by Pittsburgh and never signed, and then signed by LA as a free agent, and really just couldn't get any traction, and eventually got moved and became the player that he is, which is a guy that can score 30 goals, has a high IQ, brings a different skill level, brings some more experience. I think he'll be a really good fit playing on that second line for the Wild.
Is he as good as Vanek?
He's not as good as Thomas Vanek, no. He is definitely a step below Thomas, but for what was out there in the market, and quite frankly, I was shocked by the prices that ended up being paid. I mean, Eric can relate to this more than anybody, but, you know, the year before, the Wild acquired Jason Pominville, and they gave up 4 components or 4 pieces in that trade. You know, this year, not nearly as steep a price for anybody, quite frankly, even Thomas Vanek eventually going to Montreal.
Eric?
Yeah, and I think Brian's right. You look at that West, you're probably seeing St. Louis, San Jose, Anaheim, Chicago, maybe the LA Kings in round 1. You've got to be ready to go out of the gate because those are very good teams. I mean, that's a tough road to navigate. So I think Chuck Fletcher's saying we've got to go for it now. Remember, they invested in Suter and Parise, Pominville a year ago. So I like the fact they're going for it, and they believe they have a chance to do it.
Yeah.
You think Montreal will keep Vanek?
No, I don't think there's any chance they will. But, you know, we always talk about grading the general managers, grading the players. I think we should talk about Craig Leopold and grading him because this guy's been nothing short of an A+.
Yes, he lifted the lid, didn't he? And he said, what do you need?
I can't tell you how much of a treat it is when you're running one of these organizations to have an owner that's all in. And he's been all in. He's done whatever needed to be done to move this team forward.
Because he authentically and genuinely wants to win and win badly.
Oh, he does. And
Not
he's willing
that everybody
to put
doesn't want to win, but...
Yeah, he's willing to put his money where his mouth is. And no disrespect to Phil Falcone. Phil Falcone has been an excellent owner, too. A minority to Craig, albeit, but he's been all in too, and the combination of both of them is something that we really haven't seen for a hockey team in Minnesota for quite a while.
That's a good point. Tell me about the ownership of the Wild from where you sit.
He's a good owner. He's a good guy. And I don't know how, has a guy in New York still got an option to buy the club?
Phil Falcone, you mean?
Yes, he does. That's quite a ways out from what I'm told, but we'd have to ask Craig about that. Pardon?
He got in trouble with the government.
Yeah, but he's still got plenty in the bank, I think. Yeah, that's the way it sounds to me. But you've been impressed with Leopold?
Yeah. I've had lunch with him a couple of times. He's a sharp guy. And he, like he said, he wants a win. He's willing to spend the money. If the owners of that Tampa club had any brains. They kept him. He did a fantastic job for him.
Then they wouldn't have to
We
trade
had a
Martin
slightly
St. Louis.
different budget in those days.
All the players that he got there, they think they're great now. They got nobody.
Yeah, even traded Martin St. Louis.
Yeah, you know, that really shocked me. I mean, I have more respect than anybody for Marty St. Louis. He's a great guy. But ultimately, you know what? I told a story the other day. In 2009, I came back to my office one day, and who's waiting for me but Marty St. Louis? And he wanted to be traded at that time to one team and one team only. That was the New York Rangers. I didn't begrudge Marty for doing that. The team had finished 30th before I got there. I sat down with him. I asked him to bet on us. He did. He stayed there until this time. And you know what? He lives in the area. He has a house in Greenwich. He wants to be back there. He's 38 years old.
Him?
Oh, yeah, we had him, and I think Steve Yzerman did a very nice job in getting an excellent trade because ultimately, I mean, who wants a player on your team that doesn't want to be there? And Marty no longer wanted to be there. He respected his wishes. He made a very quick deal. We were quite shocked, to be honest with you. I didn't think that would happen until the summer.
Yeah, because you're up in Canada, just for people that don't know, your other job is you're up in Canada, and you were analyzing this dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn for the TV stations up there just on trade deadline.
Yes, I work for Sportsnet, which just bought the national package for hockey.
Oh, you get
in
Rogers
Canada.
money, don't you? Yeah.
Rogers is my boss, and I'm very thankful for that. I enjoy it. It's, you know, imagine it's 24/7 up there for
I'll tell
hockey
you what,
coverage, Eric.
I was in Vancouver in November and listened to Sports Talk Radio, and you want to get hockey coverage. It is suffocating the way they break down hockey in Canada. It just dwarfs anything we do here.
I remember being up there. You might have been at the same time in Vancouver covering the Wild, and it was the same time as the NFL draft, and you're trying to get information on the NFL draft. Of course, as Minnesota.
Not that high
Good
on the
luck,
priority
man.
list.
Take a break, come back, stay with us.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Ticket King, for the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology, life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts, Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL, proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.
Quality. It's the result of shared values. The joy found in an honest day's work. Respect for true American craftsmanship and the need, not the want, to get things right. It's the result of remembering your roots, being forever humbled by how far you've traveled and forever hungry to push on further. Quality is a result. Quality is who we are. Cambria. Family owned, American made.
Hi, at Dale Festi Automotive, we know you don't want to trust your car to just anybody. That's why we only hire ASE certified technicians to get the job right the first time. This commitment to excellence has led to being selected AAA Top Shop 12 years running. If you want your car fixed right the first time, bring it to Dale Festi Automotive in Hopkins. On the corner of 18th and Main Street and on the web at dalefestiautomotive.com. Mention that you saw this ad and get 15% off labor and installation.
Have you ever considered a career in the media arts?
I want to be a graphic designer.
I want to create animations.
I want to be a producer.
I want to code websites.
Minneapolis Media Institute offers a variety of programs, from digital art and design, game art and animation, to recording and music technology.
I can be anything I want to be.
I can be anything I want to be.
Minneapolis Media Institute. Start your future now.
The all-new Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. The truck that beats any Ford F-150 in fuel economy, and the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. And now, during Chevy Truck Month, the price you see is the price you pay for a 2014 Chevy Silverado.
Now use special Truck Month pricing and Auto Show bonus cash to get a total value of over $8,000 on this Silverado All-Star Edition. Visit ChevyDealOnline.com.
Audi A4 drivers have spoken. And they rank the A4 highest in total quality index in its class. Experience the new Audi A4 at your local dealer today.
Looking for a nice, big, juicy rack of ribs?
Fabulous chops, huge steaks, and the Buddy Bowl? Then J.D. Hoyt's is the place for you. Hoyt's opened in 1983, and Mike Andrews and his partner John White have kept this Minnesota tradition at the top of the food chain. Managing owner Pat Montague gives us a tour.
At J.D. Hoyt's, enjoy a relaxed atmosphere, great food, friendly service, private dining room, second-to-none happy hour, just blocks from the new ballpark.
Located at 394 in North Washington. Locally owned, nationally known. Hoyt's.
There it is, locally owned, nationally known. J.D. Hoyt's on Washington. Get a great steak, and ooh, that salad's not bad either. Stop by and say hi to Pat. Welcome back to the Sports Show. We're talking hockey. Brian Lawton here, and a lot going on tonight. Brian, last night they honored Mike Modano, somebody that you know quite well. Before the game, it was kind of a touching ceremony that they put together. Who was Mike Modano in NHL archive?
Well,
Did you play with him?
I played 1 year with Mike, and I was fortunate enough to negotiate his last significant contract with the Dallas Stars when I was an agent. And Mike's a fantastic guy. I would have liked to have been there myself yesterday. I just got back working for Sportsnet, but it was an incredible evening. You can't believe how people here for the North Stars in those days loved Mike Modano, Wild fans. But the people in Dallas, he is right up there truly with Emmett Smith, Staubach.
He's the
Troy
face when they
Aikman.
came, and he was the original kind of, huh?
He is. His star is so bright in that community. You can't believe it. He loves Dallas. He just married Joe Micheletti's daughter.
Let me
and
tell you.
they're expecting twins. They're very, very excited about life right now.
You walk out that back door of the North Stars after the game.
The Met Center.
Yep.
And I was very close to Mike. And we were going to have dinner. I was second fiddle. There was always some good-looking chick that was wanting to take him. And
Well, let's not tell that story now that he's married and expecting twins.
How do you know they weren't waiting for you? How do you know they weren't waiting for you and you just didn't know it?
He wouldn't know.
Why did you assume?
Let's date that story for Mike.
That's back in 1989, 27
He
years
was
ago.
a robust 75.
we were pretty close. So he comes up here to play with the Wild, and I'm talking to him, and I says, how about give me your cell number? Here, I'll give it to you. His PR guys, how come you gave him the number? You won't even give it to me, because I want to give it to him. That's how close we were. He was one of the greatest, that's one of the heartbreak of guys like him leaving this
Well,
town.
I hate to say it, but I can confirm that he really enjoyed everything you do here in town. Mike has told me that many times. He asked about you, said, I apologize, Eric.
Oh, no problem. I was just going to say, I think the one thing, too, I think they have 40-plus youth leagues now in Dallas. That is primarily because of the Stars relocating there, and then Mike Modano being their Troy Aikman.
Absolutely.
And I mean, so he's had that kind of impact on hockey at the youth level.
Yeah, they had Aikman there last night, Roger Staubach, Dirk Nowitzki, all putting their arm
Norm
around
Green
him.
got an invite.
And
I
Norm
heard.
Green
Yeah.
was there. What was Norm Green? What was he like if you judge him as an overall NHL owner? What would you grade him?
I can't use the word psychotic, but sporadic. You know, he was all over the map. He was searching at the time for the right, kind of just for the right spot to have his team. I never felt like he was sold in having it here in Minnesota. And yes, as we were talking about earlier with Sid, he wanted to be downtown. And that never materialized. He wanted to be in the Target Center and eventually move the club. And, it's been great for the National Hockey League because it helped with their geographical footprint.
They got Dallas and they got Minnesota back. So in the big picture, they got what they wanted. Norm Green.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
When the North Stars were here, he'll tell you, I was in that locker room closer to those players than I am to the Vikings.
Come on.
This was
It's true.
Huh?
It's true. We were out and
Those
he'd
guys
have us
would
out to
pull
his house. And
more crap on me,
Yeah.
hide my tape recorder.
No.
Hide my coat.
No.
But I never missed a hockey game. I was in that locker room, and those were some of my best friends. Him, Mike Modano, all those guys. I was a big, you talk about me loving hockey. When there's something else going on, I was there. And that was a crying day for me when the North Stars left here. I'll tell you that. And that city council, Wheelock Whitney gave one of the greatest speeches. We were talking about it, how they hadn't spent a nickel for the Met Stadium, the city council, the taxpayers, and spent a nickel for the baseball field. And now here was a chance. Louis and I were talking to Bettman every day. We had the Jet franchise locked up, and that city council, and then that Met Sports Center, Met Sport Commission.
Facility Commission.
They wouldn't do a thing for Gordon Gunn. We had everything wrapped up, and we couldn't get it done.
Eric, the Met Center was one of the great venues of all time to go watch a game at.
Yeah, I remember the green-colored seats, the gold-colored seats, white, you know. And you know, the North Stars are a second six team. I mean, you think about the first six, then that second wave of six. I was a young kid growing up in California at the time. In came the LA Kings and the Oakland Seals and the North Stars and the Penguins and that group of teams, the Flyers. So there's a lot of history there, as you know, Brian, to see them go down I-35. And I remember being at that last game and doing some interviews after the game and walking back out to the parking lot. One fan just staring at the ice, couldn't believe the team was leaving.
Yeah.
Wouldn't leave the building.
I used to take my kids to hockey games all the time. So one day we're sitting there, and this woman, her husband goes to get something, concession. She turns to me. She says, "How come your kid knows so much about hockey, and my dumb husband, he don't even know what a puck is? I got to take him to the game." So you asked Louis, I was very close with those guys.
You were there a lot, huh?
Huh?
Really? You were there at North Star games a lot?
Tom Reed pulling crap all the time. And listen, Modano signed at my house. Bellows was at my house. He had his party before he got married at my house.
Oh, boy. Now I want to hear the stories.
They wrecked a goddamn house.
We're going to stop there. We'll get to Dino.
We'll take a commercial break at this juncture.
Attention, please get a pencil. Announcing a hearing breakthrough, a microchip that is so small it can fit on the head of a pen. Worn hidden entirely in your ear canal, making you hear clear as a bell. And it's proudly made in the USA. Do you feel left out of conversations? Is it difficult to hear words in noisy environments? Do others say that you listen to the TV or radio too loudly? Do you feel like a bother to others due to your problems hearing? If you answered yes, you may qualify for this new chip in the ear. Only 50 participants are needed to try this microchip, so get a pencil. Call now to see if you qualify. This revolutionary chip actually mimics the natural sound selection of the human ear. With multi-core microprocessors, technology used in the most advanced computers, sounds are analyzed and classified each millisecond, controlling noise and making speech clear. Do not wait. Call now to see if you qualify to wear this revolutionary new microchip.
I have evidence that proves my dad's a space alien. Speaks a weird language. Drinks green stuff. He says he's from Albuquerque. I'm not buying it. I mean, just look at him. And one more thing. He has a spaceship. The evidence doesn't lie. My dad is an alien.
The highly advanced Audi A6, named to car and drivers 10 best. Experience exceptional value on the Audi A6 at your local dealer today.
Stop on by right off of General Mills Boulevard. Say hi to Bruce, Charlie, and the whole gang. They got it going on out there. Vehicles for all seasons at Audi. Welcome back to the sports show as we continue a hockey theme here because there's so much that went on in hockey, the state high school hockey tournament. You broadcasted last night the championship game, Eric. Your thoughts? Edina scores 8 goals.
Yeah, that was their single season high. They did it twice before in the regular season, and they erupt for 8. So you hit your pinnacle game on the championship stage. Very impressive. I mean, the E-Dynasty is what I was jokingly calling them because they're up to 12 now overall and 10 as the Edina Hornets. So they're a remarkable team.
It's fascinating because there's so many North Star connections again to that team. You have a son that played at Benilde.
They look like
lost
the North
in the
Stars.
section finals. You see a lot of high school hockey. Brian, you know, a lot of kids play juniors now in their senior year, and so maybe high school hockey's not the same in Minnesota. It's still as competitive. It's just you don't have as many superstars playing it. What do you tell a kid that's sitting there in Minnesota on the cusp of and the USHL is calling and all those things? How do you make that decision?
You know, Mike, for a while there, everybody was kind of going to the
Yeah,
USHL
that was the trend,
before
wasn't it?
they would finish their senior year. But what's really hurt the USHL, quite frankly, more than anything, is it's turned into a very old league. Initially, it was supposed to be a developmental league, and there was going to be some 16, 17, certainly a lot of 18-year-old players. Now it's turning into a lot of 19 and 20-year-old players, and there's more emphasis on winning than there is in development. So I actually think it's had a little bit of a positive effect for kids staying in high school the last couple of years because of that. And that's a reversal.
Do you believe that it doesn't matter where a kid plays, that the scouting is so thorough they're going to find you, or does it make a big difference in terms of the competition that you get? Is it about talent, or is it about developing through competition?
I absolutely believe that in today's world with technology, the scouting will find you. We find kids all over the world now, and I mean in really far away places besides Minnesota State high school hockey. But the key for kids staying in their programs, and I watched what Gordy Roberts did this year out in Elk River, is the practice time that these kids get. That's how families should be analyzing whether or not they stay in high school. Is their team practicing to the level that they need to develop? Doesn't matter about the scouts. Are you still developing is the most critical point.
What about
Mike.
your kid? Would you let him go to Ann Arbor or something? Would you want him to go to Ann Arbor?
I would think about Ann Arbor, absolutely. But
And Ann Arbor is different than the USHL, just to qualify.
It is different. That is a different level. My son is going to be playing at Benilde next year, St. Margaret's, and he'll be a senior. And again, a lot of it comes down to that practice time and what we see there with the coaching staff.
You know what I noticed? You talked about the 8 goals, and that's what grabs your attention. But the defense that the Hornets played, suffocating. They choked off every Lakeville North attack, and defense wins at any sport, even in hockey, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, Mike. And I coached 4 of those players this year in the D League. The 2 Pollings, Max Johnson, Jack Sadek, 4 kids on Lakeville North. And let me tell you, these guys are tremendous players. For Edina to shut them down and to score the way they did was very impressive.
Again, your former teammate, Kurt Giles, is the coach there, and I've talked to Kurt about this, because a lot of guys, you mentioned Gordy Roberts, they go into coaching and they kind of dip their toe in it, and then they find out, well, it's more of a commitment, or it's, you got to love it, don't you? And Kurt's developed this passion, and Gordy Roberts, and I mean, if you don't love it, you can't be good at it, and those guys love the process, I guess.
Yeah, and Kurt's done a great job. The one thing that Kurt does, and he's famous for it in Edina, is he has absolutely no time for the parents. But you know what? He's taking care of the kids, and that's what's important. And I got to tell you, I think he's doing it right. It's hard now because families want to be more involved. Kurt, very cut and dry. I'll take care of your son. We'll teach him. We'll develop him. And obviously, they're having huge success.
Sid, you were going to add something.
Well, it's back to like it was when Ikola was a coach. It looks like they're going to dominate for a while. I mean, it's amazing. The only thing I got against hockey is some of these parents are completely goofy. They think their kid who can't skate from here to that wall is going to be the next Wayne Gretzky. And they take food off the table to buy the goalie stuff and all that kind of stuff. That's the one problem I have.
Yes. You were a much more sedate parent, and I'm sure coaches just loved it when you came by and gave suggestions. We'll finish up when we come back.
That's it.
If you guys could go on a free shopping spree anywhere, where would you go? I'd go to the grocery store. Pizza, ice cream. I'd go shop for clothes. You know where I go? I'd go to Ticket King. Ticket King! At Ticket King, you can buy great seats for the Vikings, Christian Ponder, the Wild, Zach Parise, the Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio, and of course the Twins. We love the Twins. Yep, this is where I go. Vikings, Twins, Wild, Timberwolves, Gophers, theater, and concerts too. Justin Bieber! Hey, I like him first. For details, go to ticketkingonline.com. Any ticket, anytime, anywhere. It's the real thing. It's Ticket King. Right, Dad?
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
That's for sure.
visibility and the awareness that this particular year brings to the issue of hunger is a dream come true.
The world turns its eyes to one place, and then Taste the NFL stands up and says, and as long as you're looking here, don't forget what else is here.
I hate the fact that little kids go hungry. I hate the fact that even grandmas that can't afford medicine or food, they give up food.
This is a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. It's so relevant, and to actually hear about hunger, we hear about the statistics, but to see it, firsthand, it's a very different thing.
There are a lot of people who are having to decide whether to pay the heat bill or have enough food. And so the need is there. The need is great. And we're people who are well positioned to help meet that need.
There it is, Taste of the NFL. Wayne Kostrowski does an outstanding job each and every year, and he saw the party with a purpose, and that brings us to the NFL. Minnesota Vikings signed Matt Castle. Everson Griffin they signed today. So they're getting things in order before free agents really hit the open market. Would you have gone after Michael Vick, as Adrian Peterson suggested?
No way. He's got too much baggage. There's got to be a reason why that kid beat him out, and they won't sign. They've signed their veteran quarterback now. Cassell's their veteran quarterback. They will now draft a quarterback in the second or third round. They won't sign another veteran quarterback. And I think different than a lot of people.
Yes, that's true.
I like Ponder, and Ponder didn't lose those 6 games that they lost in the last 2 minutes. The defense lost. Okay. They will draft defensive players. I predict that they'll draft 3 defensive players in the first 2 rounds. They'll make some kind of a deal so they can get the 3rd defensive player.
Would you have gone after Michael Vick?
No. Age is a detriment. Plus, he's fragile. He's always getting hurt. I mean, maybe as a backup, maybe bring him in to compete, but I think Sid's right. I think you still win with defense, even though we're in this video game era of the NFL with all these points. Look at the top team last year defensively, Seattle. They won the Super Bowl. Case closed. I mean, they dominated Denver, and they had a record-setting offense.
The general manager said, if a guy has baggage, but you think he can play, what's the X factor?
Character is always at the top of the pyramid when you're looking at these guys. And if you have a question on character, which is essentially what you're saying, then you're better to err on the cautious side and not to go down that route.
But what if he can really play?
If he can really play, then
you try to change his character.
You better do your due diligence. But ultimately, Mike, I mean, you want 2 things. You want character and you want intelligent football players. And I'm really quoting Bill Belichick now because I have read his book and I do believe in what he thinks in for all of sports.
Bud Graham went to 4 Super Bowls with a lot of guys. When he went over to the roster with Jim Finks when he first got the job,
character.
He said,
questionable character.
Can they play?
And look at you.
And if they can play,
almost 94. Back next week.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quart surfaces. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.